Hello friends! Today we're continuing our patchouli series with this discussion of modern ways of using this ingredient. And for those who are new to this channel, welcome. My name is Victoria and I'm a professionally trained perfumer and a writer, and here I share my experience working in the perfume industry. So today it's hard to imagine perfumery without patchouli. Patchouli was always an important material, at least since the end of the 19th century, but it really took off in the 90s when Angel by Thierry Mugler was created, and it really put patchouli on the map. Because in Angel, patchouli was used to balance out a very heavy, rich gourmand accord of cotton candy and chocolate and caramel. And because patchouli has this very distinctive, crisp, intense, spicy woody fragrance, it can really work with heavier notes, rich notes, and just uplift them and really allow the fragrance to remain radiant, and so you could see all of its layers. And after Angel, after its success, there were so many imitators and then basically fragrances in the same style, and that's Prada Eau de Parfum, which uses about 21% or 22% of patchouli oil in its formula. And again, there is this richness. It's not as sweet as Angel, but it's very much a fragrance in the same style. So there are sweet ambery notes and floral notes as well, and patchouli works to uplift them all and really carry the fragrance from top to bottom. And there are fragrances like Viktor and Rolf Flower Bomb. Again, very much the same idea. That fragrance uses kind of a cleaner version of patchouli without the earthy, musty notes, but nevertheless, patchouli retains its vivid character. In the previous series, I mentioned Reminiscence Patchouli, and that's a fragrance that uses almost like 60% of its formula is patchouli oil. And it's really incredible, but you can put so much patchouli oil in the formula and the fragrance will still have facets and layers, and it just won't be just a solid note, one-dimensional fragrance. And Reminiscence Patchouli is one of the kind of niche classics. One of my favorite patchouli fragrances is Serge Le Temps, Borneo 1834. And the fragrance is so called, referring of course to patchouli being native to Indonesia, and because in 1834 there was a big revolt of weavers in Lyon protesting the import of fabrics from Asia. And this fragrance is really beautiful in the way it uses patchouli. It uses an enormous amount of patchouli oil in the formula, more than 50%. And it has this really interesting base accord of chocolate and vanilla, rich, sweet, really luscious. And in combination with patchouli, you don't even smell the sweetness, which you just have the this abstract gourmand quality. The fragrance is has this very intense top note, and patchouli is visible from the instant you inhale it. It's really quite a rich fragrance, and you can see all of the facets of patchouli as it develops. So this fragrance and Chanel Coromandel are kind of twins because they're created by the same perfumer, Christopher Sheldrake, and they use the same accord. The main difference is Coromandel is much more, I would say the bouquet is richer, but it's also, to me, less striking. Perhaps more elegant, more polished, muskier, rounder, doesn't have the hard edges of Borneo 1834. But both of them are really beautiful. In fact, these are two fragrances from my personal collection, what I actually wear rather than what I use for work. And I love them both. I would be hard-pressed to pick. Another fragrance I very much enjoy is Dior Gris Montagne. So here patchouli is paired with rose, and patchouli and rose is an excellent combination. Rose, with its richness, its honeyed qualities, fruitiness, makes a perfect foil for patchouli, dark, chocolate-like, woody. And here both materials are rendered as transparent. The musky notes nevertheless lend curves, so the composition is really quite elegant. A similar idea is explored in fragrance by Guerlain, Patchouli Impérial, and it's a combination of rose and patchouli with musky notes, but it's heavier and richer than Dior, and has a different inflection. So to me, the patchouli facet is more pronounced, whereas Gris Montagne by Dior, the rose and the floral notes take more of a center stage. Another fragrance that I would like to mention is Guerlain Pamplemousse. Why? Is because the combination of patchouli and citrus. And here it's so clever because patchouli mimics the bitterness of grapefruit. The original version of this fragrance was much more intense. It was almost sulfuric and shocking. But today it's reformulated, so it doesn't have that same effect, but it's still it's not your typical cologne. It has many layers, it's quite dark, and the bitterness of the grapefruit peel comes through beautifully, and patchouli really helps to create that effect. I also find fragrance Agent Provocateur in almost all of its flankers and variations really great as an exploration of patchouli paired with rose notes and spicy notes, saffron. It's different from the fragrances that I've described previously, even though it also uses patchouli and rose, but the heavier dose of spices really gives it this alluring and voluptuous quality. And it's really fun to wear. Eau d'Italie Paestum Rose is another fragrance that uses patchouli and rose, but the presence of ambery, musky, and other woody notes gives it a very different character. So instead of sweet, spicy, rich, and warm, it's mineral and cool, smelling like herbs that you would encounter someplace in the Mediterranean. The combination, as it oscillates from the rose patchouli part to the herbal musky part, is really quite striking. Very appealing fragrance. Perhaps a little bit linear, but it's just almost a vignette. So those are my favorite patchouli fragrances. I would love to hear your favorites, and if you have any requests, please let me know in the comments. Have a nice day.